The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Wednesday, hump day in a riv.
It's another day.
Another day.
And it's a beautiful day. It's not cold out.
Well, it's a little cool this morning, but it's going to get better.
It's not bitter cold like we've been having.
No,
okay?
You're right. It's better, and it's going to get a little warmer.
And believe me, my head appreciates
And that's right. Your staples are freezing. The staples in your head are freezing. So let the games begin. I got a call today that there's already a sign in the city, support Diman.
Oh, of course.
And the marketing has begun. We know they've hired a marketing company.
Yes, they have.
To market this. So it's the, look, fine. You want to, support Diman. I support Diman, but I also support fiscal responsibility and an understanding that, some people, there's a time where you have to put things off. Some of these communities, well, they're richer. Maybe the burbs can afford to build 3 schools at one time, have 3 debt overrides, but Fall River can't. There's going to be a human toll in Fall River. Renters are going to have a problem because homeowners are going to have to absorb not one debt override for Durfee, but the other debt override. And, the irony of it is there's probably no greater advocate, and I have been, if you look at the old shows over the past 9 or 10 years, there's nobody that is a more vocal supporter of vocational education than I have been. I always talk about the vocational education in Germany. One of the reasons that Germany is so good at doing what they do is that they basically tell students, listen, if you're not going to go to college and get a degree that's worthwhile, you don't go there just to party. You go there to get an education, and if you're not college material, we're going to teach you a trade so you can earn a living. And so I support it. But I also understand that the people in Fall River, the average per capita income is $24,000 a year. Average household income is $35,000 a year. We have mostly renters in the city. The majority of the population are renters. And this city is already financially strapped. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul, using opera money to plug gaps into structural defects in the budget, and we're going to dump 2 overrides. We're looking to dump 2 overrides. But being someone who does believe in a democratic republic, I say, put it on the ballot. Have our city council vote no, so it's on the ballot, and let the people vote. It'll probably pass because they are the greatest con artists in the world. Government, they're going to wave the children in front of you, give you Girl Scout cookies and everything else, and tell you that, we have to do it because we've got the disability issues here. We have to come in compliance. And I actually got a text from one of our regular viewers that the ADA went through in 1999, I believe. So it's 2022. So the question is, Diman's been not in compliance since 1999. But all of a sudden, when they're looking for another reason to market that they have to build a school, we're going to have to deal with the non-compliance of certain ADAs. Just like they're saying that they're going to have to do some maintenance. Well, why wasn't the maintenance that's required being done on an annual basis? I'm sure that Diman, and I will admit, I don't know how Diman is structured, But I'm sure, just as Durfee, they have a maintenance division. They have someone in charge of maintaining buildings, or supposed to maintain buildings. And we know how that went with the old Durfee High School after 40 years. Ceilings were falling down and everything else. But they didn't address it. All of a sudden, the pictures came out when they needed a new school. They walked around with buckets for how long?
And they're still walking around with buckets.
And they're still walking around in the new school. That's true. Which that shelf life was 40 years. This one will probably be 20 years. We'll need a new school.
Although when they bonded it, they said that the bond for a building that will last 50 years.
Yeah.
They said 50 years.
Yeah.
And the Diman project also says a building that will last 50 years.
Yeah.
Now, how long has Diman been around? 1960 what?
Well, I can't exactly. I'd have to look it up.
This building, I think, has been 1960, somewhere in the 1960s. 60 some odd years they've been around.
Yeah.
60 some odd years this building's been around. And now they need a new one?
Yeah.
And guess what? Those kids in those shops, in those vocational programs, like the electricians, like the HVAC people, like the plumbers, they do a lot of the work in that building. And if they're not, they should be, because that counts for their time in shop.
That's right.
Doesn't that make more sense to, utilize the resources that you have? And it's not slave labor. You're teaching them a trade. You're teaching them a trade. But this is how they're going to market it. They're going to say, this is for the children, because we heard this. We heard all of this already. I wonder if they hired the same marketing company for Diman that they hired for Durfee.
Probably, because it's probably the same people. The same people that I think I'm trying to look it up, but there's a lot of. I don't know if they're going to have the new school's date here. Established 1912, 110 years ago.
That's when it was on Hartwell Street.
Yeah, when it was on Hartwell.
That was the girls. That was the girls' vocational school.
And it was girls' vocational Diman.
That's right.
Ironically, I'm looking at this quickly, and I don't have the time to do this.
I believe it's the 1960s that building came about.
Yeah. Well, maybe somebody will look it up for us and will text us. But let's get back to the government at its best. This is what government does. There's always a marketing scheme. There's always a big con, just like the charter. Remember the charter?
Yeah.
The charter was the greatest thing. They marketed the charter. They conned you people. We told you it sucked. And now everybody knows it sucks. Durfee, well, they lied and lied and lied. They said that you had to get a debt override, even in spite of the fact that an individual who used to be the city administrator here, still a city administrator, said we had the money to do it. And then they admitted it later on.
That's right.
Mary Sahadi admitted it.
Right.
She admitted we didn't need a debt override. But we're going to get it anyway.
Because the reason they wanted the debt override was so that would free up money they could bond afterwards.
That's right.
Because with the debt override, it's not included in their annual calculations for bonding. Because as you know, it used to be $5 million, now it's $10 million and whatever. I mean,
yeah, well, it's whatever they want. Look, they never stop picking your pocket, and whose fault is it? The voters. You get crappy turnouts, like in New York City. They said, how could Blasio be mayor? Well, there was an 8% or 9% turnout in his election, which means like 92% of the people didn't vote. Then they complain. It's going to be the same thing. But look, as I said, I would love to see a $293 million Diman if we could afford it. But as I keep saying, if I have to spend $15,000 or $20,000 on a roof, that means for the next few years I can't do it. I'd like to buy a new car. I'd like to renovate my kitchen, but I can't. I have to wait because I do not have the ability to do it. But government never has that problem. You know what they say to you, Fall River residents who are living on $24,000, who are trying to support a family on $35,000, who is a retiree that I represent, where 60% are living on less than $25,000 a year gross. And normally they all have houses that fortunately they're paid for, but they're going to be losing their house shortly because of taxes anyway.
And fees.
Because they don't have the money. But you know what they say to you? And they've said it before. They're not bashful, like what I read from the Labor's Untold Story, when the guy said, we're rich, we don't care about you people, basically. We don't care one iota, what party, whatever, we run everything. We're rich, we don't care, we can afford it, the hell with you people. Like Nancy Pelosi, the hell with the, let them defecate in the street. How many times have you seen the elitists, or as the other one said, the elitists, go in front of the council and basically tell you, you're subhuman. You don't like it? Move to Russia. You don't like it? Get out of Fall River. Didn't that person that said that just get a job?
Yeah.
Didn't that person who told everybody, if you don't like it, move? Mm-hmm. Got a job in a school department.
Yeah.
And she told you to move out if you opposed the school.
That's right.
Wow, huh? Isn't it great to be in politics? You can crap all over everybody and you get rewarded for it. It's like our government. You know, it's funny, I looked at, I began to watch Malcolm X's ballots or the bullet speech again last night. I didn't get through the whole thing, it was 50-some minutes long. First half, condemned white liberals in 1964, said that these people pretend that they're trying to do you good, and they don't. This is government. Now I heard this morning that, well, we went over to Baltimore schools. They don't educate the people who go to college. They're intentionally dumbing them down and making them stupid. They want them dependent. And they brainwash everybody that goes to college to make them into a wokey liberal. Do you think Joe Biden is talking about elevating the education in these cities where people are graduating from high school with an elementary school level reading level? No. They're going to give George Soros and the NGOs billions of dollars to get ready for this one, to buy drug paraphernalia for the druggies.
Oh, you saw that?
Oh, yeah. Crack pipes.
Yes.
They're going to buy crack pipes.
I was going to bring that up.
Crack pipes for the druggies.
That's right.
Let's keep them drugged up, stoned, and dependent. Stupid and drugged up. That's what they want. They want you to need them so bad that they can just run amok, get as rich as they want, and you sit there and you eat the crumbs off their table and do whatever they tell you to do. Give them crack pipes. Remember back in the late 60s, early 70s when they actually tried to, this is government. They see a problem, they dump billions of dollars studying it, then they come up with some lame crap like smoking cessation, this is your drug on drugs. They don't stop the drugs. And then after about 10 years of blowing billions of dollars, they go, we give up. We're not going to try it. We're going to give them free drugs. We're going to give them pipes. We're going to give them everything. And you know something? On that, I think you saw the same one. Because they said the biggest killer in the United States is fentanyl, not crack. Right. They're going to give them crack pipes and needles for heroin, but they're not doing one thing, spending $1 to stop the traffic of fentanyl across the southern border. We're losing 100,000 people a year to fentanyl. And it's unrestricted. So if you don't think these elitists, I gotta have to call them elitists from now on. That'll make me elite, right? You don't say elite, it's just like the English language, the snowflakes, everybody gets offended. So what we need to do is take back our government. And the only way you can do that is vote. And that's the problem. The problem is they're going to get their diamond, but it should be on the ballot. Let us come in and say, okay, like we did with the charter, we took our position, we defended our position, we lost. Okay?
We licked our wounds, and that was
Licked
it.
our wounds, and the first day the charter went into effect, we started saying we told you so, which is the good part. That's the best part of this whole scenario.
Yes.
So you're gonna vote. Don't Diamond will get voted in, but at least we don't have a complaint because that's what our Constitution says. The state of Massachusetts, we are the government. So let the people who you represent, City Council of Fall River, vote. And if Fall River hopefully votes against it, they might be overridden by the minority in Fall River who does vote for it, and the surrounding communities who don't care because they got the money. But
Well,
then that's the way it goes, right? The majority rules.
Well,
this is a democratic republic.
Right, and here's the way this system works, from my understanding, the way it was explained to me by several people. If one community, just one, says no, then it has to go to a referendum question to the entire district. The entire district. So if Fall River says no, it goes to referendum for the entire district. If Somerset says no, it goes to referendum of the entire district. Westport and Swansea have already said, we don't care. We're not going to do anything. So that's an approval. So we'll have to see how that works. But what's interesting in the whole thing is Diamond, and for a second, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. Diamond is currently renting space down at Commonwealth Landing. Did you know that?
No.
They have educational programs down on Duval Street. They also have their offices on Duval Street now. I got that off that letter. And when I called and found out that, yes, they do have programs down on Duval Street. And I was told, and this is the reason why we need a new school. Okay, I'll say maybe you do need a new school. But is it cheaper to just rent this space? Or is it cheaper to build a new school? That's the big question.
Yeah, not only that, CJ.
And then can the people afford it?
True. But, you brought up a great point. And I know that Diamond builds houses because I know a guy who bought a house that Diamond built.
Right.
And it was built by students, wired by students, constructed by students, So that begs the question, why should Diamond ever have any outstanding repairs?
Right.
Why should they? I mean, you need a new roof? You got a whole bunch of people taking carpentry, right? They got to know how to roof. They roof the houses that Diamond builds. Diamond's built numerous houses.
That's right. And as a matter of fact, several of the veterans' homes were built by
exactly.
Diamond.
You got a leak. You got a leak somewhere. You got somebody. You got an electrical issue. You got people teaching, people to be electricians. So you've got master electricians teaching these courses. They've got students to do the bulwark. So look, real life, not just blackboard and this is the way you run a wire. You're going to actually run them. You don't need to go look for things to do. So you have all these questions as to why. And like I said, in a perfect world, don't get me wrong, in a perfect world, we could build a new Diamond, a new Durfee, a new everything, whenever we needed it. Therein lies the problem. This is not a perfect world, just like our world isn't perfect. I can't have a Ferrari, 3 motorcycles, an SUV, and a 1-ton truck if I decide to do a little bit of work around a yard because I can't afford it. We all have to live on budgets, but the elitists do not. They have the money to do anything they want. You've got people coming in, dropping $125 million on elections to elect people who are other elitists. And this is a class war. The people who are pushing this have the attitude, well, that's a good deal, $23 million, and we only have to pay $2 million. I'll tell you what I'll do, reps. I'll go out and I'll scrape up $2 million if you give me $23 million.
Right.
And the guy that gives me the $2 million, I'll give him $6 million back.
There you go.
That's what a good deal it is. And let's see how long your money lasts.
Right.
That's the problem. The problem is it's only a good deal if you can afford it. Because I'll tell you what, if I had $2 million and somebody would give me 23, I would make sure I get to that guy as often as I can before they admit him to a mental institution. Because that's the way this thing, you know, government is treating us like an ATM machine. But what we really are to them is a slot machine.
Yeah.
We just put our money in that slot machine, and that's the principle of a slot machine. Diminishing return. You don't understand, a lot of people don't understand how these things work. Why the slot machines are the biggest money makers in casinos? Because you can win at poker isn't a real game. You pay the rake. But blackjack, craps, all the regular games. You can have a night where the casino actually loses money. You never lose money on a slot machine because the slot machine is mechanically programmed to pay out a certain amount.
And now they don't use mechanisms anymore.
Yeah.
Now they use digital.
Digital, but it's programmed.
Right.
You can go online, and I got the app on my phone. I can tell you how much every slot machine pays out in every casino in the world. So the average quarter slot machine pays 85% back. So some people win. But think about this. They pay 85%. Dollar machines pay 90 to 92%. But they get a constant thing. So think about the way this goes. You put in $1, you get 85 cents back. Now you put in another $1, which you had to add 15 cents to that dollar. You keep putting in dollars, and they keep taking that 15% out until you have no more money.
Right.
You are getting a little money back, but they're taking their cut. And ultimately, you run out of money. And that's exactly what the government does to you. $2 million, it's a deal. They take your money. They never run out of money, because when you run out of money, you lose your house, you go on welfare, you're living in a tent or your car, and somebody else takes your place.
That's right.
And you let them stay in office because they have no regard for the people. So if the people decide and they screw up, that's their fault. But this has to go to the ballot. $293 million cannot be decided by 9 people.
Right. Right. I agree. Or in some cases, you're talking about 12 people with Somerset, and
Yep.
and Somerset's sending it to a town meeting. They want the voters to say what to do.
And good for them.
That's right.
Good for them. Good for them. That's exactly what they should do, because they represent the people of the town. We supposedly had to put anything over $5 million, and we saw how many ways they had to duck that.
Right.
But you had to put $5 million on the ballot. Our share at 293, a hell of a lot more than $5 million.
Actually, we're going to be paying about 75% of that building.
Yeah, 75 to 77, something like that.
Something like that.
Which is, I think we did the numbers. It was like 123 million
Exactly.
or something like that, 125 million. But let's face it, over 100 million we're going to pay. Over 100 million. That's a lot more than 5 million. So guess what, council? You should allow the people of Fall River. And don't let the marketers go. They're going to go to market you.
Exactly.
Oh, this is wonderful. Well, I don't care how wonderful it is. Send your marketing, put the signs in the window, tell them that, parade pictures of the kids, give them the con job. Some people like us will ask the questions that the council may not ask, like why? Why are you using the government by crisis again? Oh, if we don't raise the water fees, the state's gonna come down and take us over. Oh, if we don't do this, they're gonna take us to court. Oh, if we don't do this, we're gonna get sued. Oh, if we don't do that. Well, the question was, well, why didn't you do what you had to do in the first place? Why did a school get to the point that we couldn't say, take our time and let's study this and let's see if there were alternatives? And then we do everything wrong after it's over. I just came up Ellsbury Street again. Do you know everybody that goes south on Ellsbury Street at some point in time is violating Massachusetts law? Mm-hmm. Because there's only one lane
That's
now.
right.
And that lane, there's a bicycle lane that's 2 feet wide.
Right.
And everybody stops to make pickups in that bicycle lane, and 3/4 of their car is in the only lane available.
Correct.
For through traffic.
Right.
So guess what? Every single car driving down south on Ellsbury Street crosses a double yellow line.
That's right.
Which is prohibited by law.
Correct.
So the police officers that are down there making sure nobody drives through that way should be tagging every single car on Ellsbury Street.
Right.
Because every single one of them, when they're stopped on a side, is crossing a yellow line in order to go down the street.
That's right.
There's your government.
And this was
They
Fall
took
River.
a 4-lane road,
Yep.
Ellsbury Street, and turned it into a 1.5-lane road.
Right. And this was the Fall River School Department with the Fall River Police Department who created this problem. They created the problem. Okay? The police department supposedly came to solve the problem, but they didn't. They created more problems. And you can't blame them. They're only doing the best that they can do with what they have. But what they have is because the school department didn't.
Yeah, but nobody does any research.
Nobody in the school department did any research on this. They didn't care.
Nobody does any research. Look at Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is the only community I ever saw, because virtually everybody that works in Washington doesn't live in Washington. They
Right.
live in Virginia, Maryland, everywhere else. Because nobody wants to live in Washington, D.C. It's like one of the crime capitals of the world. But you go to Washington, D.C., in the morning, there's only like one lane going out of Washington, D.C. Everything else is a one-way in. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon
It
to
switches.
6 o'clock, everything's going out. And between 9 and 4, it's two-way traffic. So why didn't they do something like that on Ellsbury Street? Leave all the lanes. And when people are coming to BCC, Conley, and everything else, you've got 3 lanes going one way and 1 lane coming the other way.
That's it.
Wow.
Common sense.
But
Imagine
maybe
that.
nobody that has any input in Fall River has ever been to Washington, D.C.
You never know.
But I have. I saw it. I saw some poor SOB going the wrong way with 5 lanes of traffic coming at him. And I was walking to the EPA, from the EPA where we had testified, and I had one of the guys from the International. We were walking back to the International office, and he started laughing, and they went, what is he doing? He said, that guy must have went down that street in the morning, and when it was a 2-way. Now he's coming back, but he doesn't realize that all of those lanes on that street are all coming the opposite way.
Exactly.
So, but, they just make things worse. Now we have to have police officers virtually there for in perpetuity. In perpetuity. Because they screwed this up so bad. But that's the way we do things. We're only worried about building it. Who's going to make the money building it? Who's going to get the contracts? Who's going to get the insurances? Who's going to get everything? Somebody should do a deep dive into that. That's the problem with government. The rich get richer, and they tell you, you don't like it? Move out of the city. And by the way, give me a job in the athletic department. Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Okay. No. So,
And the building, Durfee's still covered under a 1-year warranty, so guess what? Make the builder fix it, because it hasn't been fixed yet. Well, it looks like we're out of time, everybody. I want to thank you all for watching and inviting us into your home. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
very accountable.